Greetings guys, gals, non-binary pals, and welcome back to another video. Today my voice is a little bit raspy because I went to 2 Halsey concerts this week and waited 6 hours out in the cold rain. So a little bit of screaming to Nightmare and Lonely as the Muse, and a little bit of I may have gotten myself sick, but worth it because this was my view. So no regrets. Anyway, a little over a year ago, I made a video about family van life, the people who have kids and decide that, they don't want to just live a normal life. They don't want to send their kids to school and offer them stability and deep relationships and friends. They would rather take their kids, put them in a van or in a bus and just spend their lives on the move and homeschooling them or, bus schooling. Because why not? Why would you want to offer kids stability and the opportunities to, make friends and have a good education when you could travel with them? Do your dream. Do what makes you happy, regardless of how it impacts your children. And this idea has not slowed down, does not seem to be stopping. This is still something that a lot of people are doing. And obviously there's such a big presence of it on social media that it is encouraging more and more people to do this, to grab their kids and live life on the road. And it is incredibly frustrating. And very upsetting, and I hadn't really thought about making another video about this. It hadn't really crossed my mind too much until whilst waiting out in the rain for a Halsey concert, I was on main, my normal Instagram account, and this reel comes up of this family of 10. These parents who have 8 kids who live in a bus and spend all their time traveling. And this just came up on my reels and I was like, oh my God. And that was on the exact 1 year of uploading my video last time. And then I was like, okay, maybe I'll come back to this later. Maybe I'll come back and make another video. But then the next day I opened Instagram again and I got a different one of their reels. And I was like, all right, that settles it. I need to sit down and I need to look into this family more and I need to talk about them. And so I did. I dedicated, a couple days to going through years worth of their Instagram reels and pulling together some things so I could sit down and share all of that with you. So you're welcome. We can all sit here and get mad about this together. Some information about this family. They have said their name a couple times, but I didn't write it down and I don't remember what it was. So they're a family, and their username on Instagram, what they go by is American Family Road Trip, and they have 737,000 followers, and their videos get anywhere from 100,000 to millions of views. And they are largely met with positive feedback. So many of their comments are people being like, wow, this is such a beautiful family. I love that you do this. You're raising such beautiful children and you're doing so well by them. And I'm like, pardon, what is happening? Why are we all encouraging this? Why are so many people invested in this and cheering them on and wanting to do the same? And the answer is really that parents a lot of the time are very selfish, and these are examples of those parents. So yeah, let's start with the video that first appeared on my feed, so you can kind of get a feel of why I felt I needed to talk about this. So it is this family all standing outside their bus. She is going, let's try for another girl, and he replies, I'm not good at that. And then it's the the dance thing where they all cover their faces. But she needs a friend. You say that every time. And then they cover their faces again. And so this is the whole family out there, and their kids range from 21 months to I think 15. So that's the age span of their children. And an important note for that of the let's try for a girl, I'm bad at that, is that they have 8 kids, 7 of them are boys. They have one girl, and I believe she is the second oldest. I think she's 12. And that obviously comes with its own its own can of worms that we will get into shortly, because, you know, a conservative Christian large family who live in a small space and have one daughter and 7 sons, like, you know what's going on there. And you're right, and we will talk about that. But first, I want to give you sort of this feel of this family and what they're doing and their background. And like, the main issue I have with this TikTok in particular, other than, you know, including their small children and like using their kids for clout and having their faces plastered all over the internet, is the fact that having 8 kids and living in a bus that is like under 240 square feet is where would you put a 9th child? Like, you can't really even fit this many, right? Like, this is already way too many people for such a small place. What on earth would you be doing with a 9th child? How would it be fair at all to bring another child into this dynamic? I just think that that's such a ridiculous sentiment. And like, they like to claim that, you know, their older children don't raise the younger children, but like, it's literally impossible for you to give equal time and attention and affection to this many children. And like, if your older children aren't helping raise the smaller ones, they are at the very least raising themselves, because you cannot be an active parent for so many children, regardless of what you would like to tell yourself. As said, right, like, I don't know where they would fit a 9th child. You might all be thinking, how do they even fit 8 children? How are there 10 people living in a bus? And I had that exact same question. So I was desperately hoping they had like a proper, you know, bus tour. So many of these families do like tours. They're like, come look at how we live and how everything fits. And like, they show pretty extensively where all the kids sleep, where the like washing machines are, the bathroom, like storage, everything. But I scrolled through like hundreds of TikToks. Like, I had to go back years to find any tours that they did. And like, I found one and it was very minimal. And I was like, surely there's one that is a bit more extensive, that goes into a bit more, that shows a bit more. And then I kept scrolling and I found another one that was exactly the same. And then every single like bus tour video I found was exactly the same. And it doesn't give very much. And I feel like that is very telling. Like, these are the only tour videos that exist. Yeah, she just like gets on the bus and walks down it and just like walks directly down the middle. It shows like the seating area, which is just 2 benches, the kitchen, and then she opens a door and just like, you get a glimpse at the bedroom. And that's literally it. There's no like looking to the side. There's no showing where storage is. There's nothing. She doesn't even speak. It's just like a walk down the bus. And that's literally it. And like, the only thing you can see of the bedroom is that all the kids share one very small room. It is 3 sets of bunk beds that like, so every single wall is just bunk beds, and then the only space that isn't bunk beds is the door, and then it's got a very small floor space. And next to that is where I would imagine the bathroom and the like washing machine and stuff are, but I don't know because they didn't show that. There's definitely no room for storage in the kids' rooms. Maybe there's a bit of space under the bed. I don't know. She didn't show us. All the way up one side next to the kitchen is like cupboard space and stuff. So presumably they keep stuff in there, but I don't know. She didn't show us anything. Nothing was told. We have like such little information about the layout of this bus and where everything is. It's just walking a straight line and not even going into the room. The only thing we do know, the only thing that was shown, is that the parents have like a big like queen size or double bed that like lives up, and they like push a button and the bed like comes down and they sleep on that. And I have to assume that the 2 youngest children, the 2-year-old and the 3-year-old, the 1-year-old and the 3-year-old, I don't remember how old they are, I would have to presume that they share that space. Like, maybe there's like somewhere that they go in the like main area, but I don't know. It wasn't shown. I have no idea. All I know is that 6 kids sleep in that one very small room and they have 2 extras, and I don't know where they go. And I don't know what would happen if they had an extra kid. Where would that child go? Where is the room for them? And like when these smaller children get older and like need more space or whatever, where do they go? They can't fit any more beds. The main children's bedroom, and they have been in this same bus for 7 years, by the way. 7 years they have been in this bus. So presumably that's when they had, these kids are all like 2 years apart, 1 or 2 years apart. That's when they had like 5 kids. So initially they could have all shared that room with 6 bunks. They shouldn't have, but they could have. Now they have more. Where do they think they're gonna put them? How are they thinking about having another child and being like, yeah, that's a great idea? You have no space. What are you talking about? What do you mean? How is that fair? Like, these kids have no privacy. Imagine being like 15 and having to share a room with 5 of your younger siblings, one of them being like 5 years old. Like, I know that it's normal for siblings to share rooms. I know that a lot of people, share a room with the sibling. Typically, it's only 1, maybe 2 that they share it with, which I imagine would still be quite a difficult thing to do, but it's still much more manageable than having to share a space with 5 others, especially when there's such a large age discrepancy. Like, I cannot imagine how frustrating that must be. Like, the complete lack of privacy, the complete lack of just having your own space. Like, at least if you're only sharing a room with like 1 person, maybe 2, it's easier to organize, having your own things, having your own space, being able to organize, having like time in there by yourself. If you are sharing with so many people, especially when it's so small, like, they have no stuff in there. It is literally just beds, and there's nowhere that they have space of their own, because it's all just like one big room and they have nothing that belongs to them, and that just isn't fair. They're just kind of lumped together, and it's like, kids, that is your identity. You are my children. You are siblings. That is who you are. That is what you are. That is all you are. Deal with it. And that's just sad, and it's unfair. It's creating such an environment for like such big like codependency issues, right? Like, I feel if you are with the same, like with just your immediate family and like your siblings literally 24/7, you like sleep together, you school together, you go everywhere together, like, it is setting you up for one of 2 things in the future, right? And that is either the absolute inability to be alone and like immediately having to go find someone to cling onto and like share a room with and be with, and like that could lead you into some like not very good relationships just because you need to have someone present, or the opposite way and lead to such intense like need for independence and space that it's hard to form relationships and be close with people because you cannot tolerate anyone being in your space after having someone in your space for your entire life. Like, it is so unlikely that these kids are going to grow up without either of those issues. It's just really upsetting that she thinks that this is like normal and okay and good, and everyone is happy as can be. As she says in this video, explaining the small space and the setup and how it works for them and how everyone is really happy with this. And it just...
So honestly, we live in a really simple house. We live in a bus with our 8 kids. And it seems kind of crazy, but honestly, the more kids we had, in that point in our lives, we were renovating and flipping houses, and we wound up pregnant with our 5th baby and in a 7,000 square foot house. It was a lot of work to keep up. It was too much between trying to homeschool the kids, trying to make, meals. We were working in one of our businesses that we had, and it was just, we were stretched to the limits. So choosing to build out our bus, buy a bus out of St. Louis, renovate it. We raised the roof 2 feet. He did like all of the work, the electrical, plumbing. I mean, he learned things that I never knew he could figure out. It was amazing. And we've been traveling now for over 7 years. Our kids absolutely love it. They seem to thrive in this environment. Anytime we've stopped, we actually bought a house twice in 2 different states, and both times we weren't happy We wanted to get back on the road and keep traveling and exploring. Really made the biggest difference, I think, in my parenting, because I'm able to be present. I'm able to be there and be available for my kids, because I don't spend all my time cleaning like I did before. We park in friends' houses. We stay near grandparents. Grandparents like to come visit us where we are because we're in cool places. So I feel like it's not for everybody, but this life makes sense for us.
This just like doesn't make very much sense to me. This is such a weird jump. Like being like, we were living in a 7,000 square foot home and it was just so much work. It was so hard because I was constantly cleaning. We had so much stuff. So the solution was to instead move our family of 7 into a 230 square foot bus. Like that's not just a downsize, that's like such a huge downsize. Like there are alternate solutions. Like 7,000 square feet is massive. That is huge. I'm not really good at dimensions and like seeing space, but I know that my flat is 1,200 square feet. I'm pretty sure it's 1,200 square feet. And it's like, it's pretty reasonable for the 2 people that are living here. And that's like 6 times bigger than this. And that's huge. I would say that a big house is twice this size. Like a big house is like 2,400 feet. Like if you had flat I live in now and you doubled it, that's a big house. The flat we're in is on, I think there's 3 flats above us. And so the entire building that I am in is still half a 7,000 square foot house. That is wild. Not half, but still smaller. Like the entire building of the flat that I'm in is like still smaller than the house they were talking about that had like 7 people living in it. That is massive. Unless maybe there was a huge garden out back and that's being included in the size. But if the house itself was that big, why? What? You could have just downsized your house. You could have gotten a house that was half the size of that and you would have been completely fine. Why did you need a house that was that massive? Why would the solution to scale back be to get a bus and not just a smaller house? And like being like, oh, we got a bus because it meant we have less things. You can just get rid of things. I don't understand. The like solution that makes the most amount of sense if you want like a smaller space and less stuff is to just buy a smaller house and have less stuff. Like, I don't understand what's so difficult about that. Like, I know if you have space, you fill the space, but you can just make more of a conscious effort and put like more thought into what you are buying. And like, if you're spending the whole time cleaning and like running around, like doing all this housework, because you have so much stuff and so much space, again, sizing down the space helps. And also if you just teach your kids like responsibility and like teach them about keeping their space tidy, have them help out with chores, that sort of thing, like that is going to make a massive difference. Like don't use tidying and cleaning as like a form of like punishment or like anything like that. But I mean like help them help you, you know? Also, I don't know, maybe also your husband could help out a little bit. Maybe he can do a bit of the cleaning and like help lighten your load a bit. But yeah, just some food for thought there is that you could just get a smaller house. I feel like the solution is not taking away your children's right to privacy and having anything that is their own, because I'm also willing to bet that like everything is like hand-me-downs probably, right? Which is like fine, but I also think it's good for your kids to have something that is like just theirs and belongs to just them. And I feel as though there's not really very much of that happening. They don't have their own space, they don't have their own stuff, they don't have their own anything. There's never any breaks. It's just constantly like you are just a mass. You are part of a group and you are just one thing. You don't need to separate from one another. You are just a glob. And that is not the way to look at your children. Obviously, being like, they love it, they enjoy it. You know, when we stop, we want to get back out on the road. It's all they've ever known. 3 of these kids were born into the bus. Like they were born on the bus. Like literally they were born on the bus without any like doctors or nurses or anything. They were born on the bus. And then the others, like most of them are too young to like have memories of before this was your life. Like they are so accustomed to this, like they are so used to this that like it's going to feel a bit weird when it stops, especially if like you are planting ideas in their brains being like, I kind of miss it, kind of wish we went back to that. Don't you miss it? Don't you want to do it? Which I'm sure were questions being posed. A lot of these decisions largely come down to you and what you are saying and like pushing onto your kids, and they are going to do what you want. And because this is what's normal to them and you've convinced them that this is what's normal, like they are just gonna go along with it because they don't know any better, they don't know any different, they don't have a foundation anywhere, so like they don't feel a connection to anywhere, so they're fine to up and leave because you've not given them the chance to ever stay. On top of this, like saying that, you know, she's here and she's like, we love it, the kids love it, it's perfect, we miss traveling when we stop. She posted this video of her youngest, and I think that it's really says a lot about the situation, because she's posting this being like, see, they love it, they love moving, they love traveling. And for context, they left the States for a bit and went to Europe. They went to Portugal and Spain, and I don't know how long they were in each place. They didn't ever say that I could find anyway. And she posted this video of her youngest with the text on screen saying like, all good destinations should feel like this. And this is the video.
I want to stay in Portugal.
Honey, we're not going back to America. We're going to go to Spain.
I want to stay in Portugal.
I promise you'll like Spain, okay?
We're going to go to...
Are you loving Portugal?
Ryan, Spain is the home of flamenco.
This is her 5-year-old. I think I said 3-year-old. My bad, he is 5. And he looks and sounds so upset and so tired. And the fact that she's like, no, we're not going back to America, don't worry, we're going to Spain. Isn't that so exciting? You love Portugal, so you'll love Spain because you obviously love traveling. That's why you love Portugal so much. No, this kid loves this place and he wants to stay there because he's never stayed anywhere before. And you're just like, he loves Portugal, he wants to travel, he loves this life. That is not at all the vibe that I am getting from this. He is 5 years old. Traveling means nothing to him. Traveling means nothing to most of these kids. Like, they're learning and getting culture and they're being so like well treated because they get to travel like so many other kids don't. He is 5 years old. It means nothing to him. Most of this is not going to be something that he remembers. Like, traveling I think is a great thing for people to like learn from and like get life experience, but I don't think you can really appreciate that until you're at least like 10. And even then, I feel like you're not learning as much as, you know, you would if you were older, right? Like, I started traveling with my mom and my sister when my sister was 10 and I was 13. We started going to like Southeast Asia every year for a few weeks. And like, my sister at that time did not really appreciate it. She didn't really get it. Like, she had a good time, but like, she didn't really care that much about where we were. Whereas I really loved it and I took a lot away from it. And it wasn't until we were a few years in that my sister started actually appreciating it and like understanding like culture and like learning about it. And then in hindsight now, she's like, I wish I appreciated it more at the time, because she was young, right? And like, when you are that young, like it doesn't really compute in your head what is going on and what you are actually like absorbing from that, especially if you were like 5 years old. He just wants to stop. And you can hear how excited like the mother is and the father is, being like, it's the home of flamenco. They don't care. Do not give a single fuck. They just want to live and to stop and to breathe and to have a home. These kids do not have a home. You have denied your children of having a home. And that is so sad. Not only are you denying them the ability to make connections with other people, but you are also denying them with the ability to like feel a connection to anything. There's nothing that is their own. They don't feel connected to a place. There is nowhere that feels grounded for them. There is nowhere where they like want to go back to. There is nowhere where they feel safe and comfortable because they've never had the chance to have that. And I think that it's really sad. It's so hard to feel adrift, right? And as like much as being homesick sucks, it's so much better to like long for a place where you feel comfortable and connected and safe than it is to just like not have that and to feel like your whole life is just you floating. And I think like there are nomadic communities and cultures that, you know, I feel like function slightly differently in a way that they have more than just like one family. They have like a larger community that all sort of travel together, and they have this like connection to each other and to that community, and that's sort of like their grounding spot for them. Although I do think that a lot of kids in those nomadic communities may also struggle a lot and like won't ever leave because that's sort of the place that they feel comfortable and safe is within that community and they can't find that elsewhere. But they have an actual like community, you know, it's more than just their family, and these kids are expected to like leave one day as well, and like they don't have the tools to be able to leave. They do not have the tools to like form connections, feel settled anywhere. Like if you have denied them of having a home their entire lives and you are expecting them to go out into the world and like find that at some point, they are going to really struggle with that, and it's going to be a really difficult journey because like once you've been used to moving around so much, it's really hard to sit still, and I think that can jeopardize them a lot in the future, right? And like on top of this, denying them of a home, as I said, like it's also denying them of connections, not only to the place, to a place, but also to people. Like, yes, they have connections with you and with their siblings, but they don't have friends. They do not have the ability to make friends and to form lasting connections, which is such an important part of life and of childhood, and depriving your kids from like learning those skills is really upsetting, and again is just going to completely fuck them over in the future and like make it so difficult for them to develop relationships. It's very much giving the like, I want my child to be dependent on me forever, because they do not know how to live without you, because you are literally like controlling every single aspect of their lives, not allowing them privacy, not allowing them to make their own decisions, not allowing, like everything they do is controlled by you, and they don't have anything outside of that, and they've never been given the opportunity to create anything outside of that. And people obviously say that a lot, being like, your kids, what about socialization? Why they're being denied that? That's important. And this is the video she made in response to that. When people worry about my kids' socialization because they're homeschooled and only spend time in our bus, but we have a van for field trips. And that's the video, that's the TikTok, that's her argument for how the kids are being socialized, is that they don't just spend all their time in a bus, they have a van where the whole family, they go on field trips. So obviously they socialize with who? With who? They're still in a full family group where they're the only ones who they are connected to, and they're going out into the world in a van to what? Talk to strangers that they're going to see one time? That doesn't count. That doesn't count. Who are they talking to when they go out on these field trips? What socializing are they getting? Because like learning how to hold a conversation with like someone who works at a museum, or like talking to a kid on the playground and then never seeing them ever again, is very, very different to forming bonds and creating friendships and like actually forming connections. Like those are two very different skills. With school, yes, the actual like education part is very important, but socializing is also equally as important. Like being able to make friends and like learn from your peers and exist in an environment with other people, that is an incredibly important part of development, and none of that is being given to them. And it's wild to be like, we go on field trips as a response to being like, you aren't letting your kids make friends. Clearly that's a correct assumption, because this is the response. This doesn't make sense. This just proves the point further. Your kids are being denied the ability to socialize and make connections with people. And it's astounding that somehow this seems like a logical response that makes sense and means that you are right, when all it has done is prove the opposite. It's also weirder because like they do have friends, or specifically there's another family who have the same amount of kids, and they're all within similar ages, and sometimes these guys take their bus and go park at their house and they like hang out together. I don't know if they're actually friends or it's just like for the Instagram gimmick. I don't know. But they like hang out for, I don't know, a few days maybe at a time, maybe a week. They don't actually ever say very much about how long they're staying anywhere, but they have friends. There's this other family that have kids their own age, so obviously they have friends and it's fine. Really weird that wasn't used as the example to say they're socialized, and instead they talked about the field trip and not the fact that they do have friends, but whatever. Obviously this is still an issue in the way that like this is still just one big family, and there's once again no stability. They're gonna hang out with these people for a few days and then never see them again, or like only see them very sporadically. There's no maintenance of the friendship. They just kind of stay acquaintances forever because like, yeah, there's online communication and you can like text people and call people, and I think that online friendships are very valid, and I think that, you know, that is a good way to have friends and to socialize. However, this is a very like anti-screen time type family. I don't know the rules around it because they don't actually say very much. They just say they're anti-screen time. I don't know what that means. I know it means that their younger ones don't have access to phones and tablets and things. I don't know at what age they get granted access to that, because they do online school, so they obviously all have laptops or tablets of some description for school stuff. Don't know what the boundaries are, don't know what they're allowed access to, don't know what age that starts. None of that is ever explained. From that, I can take away the fact that like they're not having an online relationship with these people. The younger ones obviously can't read and don't have access to social media, so like they couldn't do it anyway. I'm unsure about the older ones, but regardless, like it's very minimal, and they're not being granted having like these friendships and developing an actual deeper connection with these people. Like these are their only like long-term friends, and they're barely around. They're like permanent acquaintances, and like apparently that's fine. That counts as socialization. That counts as friends. Look how kids have friends. They have connections. They're doing great and fine and so good because they have each other, and they have this other family that we see sometimes and they never talk to. So like it's chill. It's fine. No, it's not. No, it's not. Obviously, not only are they denied forming these connections and having friends, but it also deprives them a lot in an education as well, right? Like these kids are all obviously homeschooled, bus schooled, and I've made videos about homeschooling and unschooling before, so we all already know my thoughts about this. She made this video being like, they say homeschooled, but what do you call it when it looks like this and it's kids on a bus and it's like, we're traveling? There's no name for that because we created this. It's called worldschooling. It is a thing. It's a massive problem, and I will be making a video on it, but you did not invent this concept. Unfortunately, there's a whole community for it, and it's horrifying and devastating, and that's a whole other can of worms that I will get into at another point. But you did not invent this concept. There's way too many people who do this. I think homeschooling in general, like largely, is not often the right thing to do, and is not often very helpful and not providing a full education, because a lot of the time parents are not qualified to be teachers, and it's just setting your kid up with like a laptop and being like, teach yourself. But that's even more the case when you have so many kids, especially when they expand over such a wide range of ages. Like there's this video where she says the ages of all her kids, like what grade they're in. There's a freshman, 7th grader, 5th grader, 3rd grader, 2nd grader, and kindergarten. And so those are all the people she is homeschooling. They're the people that she is providing an education for. They go over all those different ages, and like this just like doesn't work. You cannot claim that you're teaching your kids or even like homeschooling them. You are giving them a computer and being like, teach yourself. I do not believe you that you are teaching these kids anything. You're not teaching them. They are teaching themselves. They are doing self-learning. And I think that self-learning can work for some people. I think that self-learning and self-teaching can be an important part of an education, but it shouldn't be the only part of an education. And I feel like it's just depriving so much, right? Because they can't ask their teachers any questions. They can't participate in like class discussions. They can't think any deeper or any differently than what they are being told because they don't have a personal connection. Some homeschooling is a bit more effective because, you know, if they're teaching like one kid or two kids who are like close in age or whatever, like you can have an understanding of what they are currently learning and you can help them out with that. If you have so many kids, you are not going to have a complete understanding of what all of them are learning and what they are doing. And I doubt you are making much of an effort to because you are too busy popping out kids and looking after the younger ones and leaving the older ones to their own devices when it comes to their education. And I just think that's really sad. Like if you are being told by a teacher or like an online program or whatever, like this is what this is and this is how you do it like this. Like what if you have questions? What if you like think of a different way to do it and you want to know if that's going to be effective? Like you can't think any deeper and ask any questions about what you're being given if you don't have anyone to ask that to. I found the most effective part of my education and the thing I benefited from the absolute most personally was classroom discussion. It's my favorite part of school. It's what helped me retain the information the most. Obviously, I like talking and discussing and I figure things out while I'm talking. Like a lot of the time my videos, like I say so much more than what I write first because as I'm speaking, I kind of like think of new things and I think of more questions. And I find that for me is like the best way to learn. And I know everyone learns differently, which is another reason why this type of schooling doesn't really work because you're given a very like, this is what we're doing. But for a lot of people, having those conversations and being able to ask questions directly to the teacher and having that like one-on-one time with a teacher if it's needed is going to be the most helpful thing. And they don't have that. They are learning one thing and that is all they're learning. They're not learning an alternative way to do it. They're just getting the information and they're spitting it back out. Like, are they learning how to apply it? Are there like thought provoking things that they're doing? Are you having conversations with them? Like there's you cannot be teaching this many kids. And it's so shitty that there's no one else their own age to like converse with. And presumably the ones that are closer in age, like the 13-year-old might go to like the 15-year-old for help because he's recently finished this so he can help her with that. Whereas mother has not been to school for a very long time and I doubt has like refreshed up on what they're doing, so probably wouldn't be of as much assistance. And so they are probably going to be helping each other with school and the older child is like not really getting very much in return at all for that. So, you know, not effective, not teaching. You're depriving them of like an education and of like very important socializing and like learning skills because they're also not learning how to work with other people. And if they go out into the workforce and they have no idea how to collaborate and work with other people, that is a massive disadvantage. You need to know how to work with other people and how to like and they don't have that because like sharing and like existing with your siblings is very different to like working on a project with someone. It's not the same and you're not providing them with that skill set. So now that we have an understanding of who these people are, I wanted to look at a few of the other TikToks about them that just are off, that I do not like, that just give absolutely terrible vibes. When my husband complains about my attitude and spending habits. Hello, 8 kids in Portugal, but he's had custody of me since I was 20, so maybe he should have raised me better. Never, ever, ever say anything like that ever again. What the fuck? Oh my god. Straight people's like fascination and obsession with like talking about raising their partners needs to be studied. Because why does so many of them be like, oh, my husband is my extra child? Lol, how hilarious. Oh, well, you should have raised me better. You've had custody of me. Like, do you not hear how weird that sounds? Are you like unaware of how fucking creepy and strange that sounds? Why is this something that you're saying? Why do you think this is funny? Why do you not think that's the weirdest thing you could have said? I do not understand. I don't like it. Stop it. And also like this kind of makes it seem as though like he's way older than her. He's not. I don't know how old each of them are. I don't know how old they were when they met, but they were both in their 20s. I know that much. And they met while they were both deployed in Iraq. He was a soldier. She was working in the Air Force, and I feel like that kind of gives a lot of context for what type of people they are, so do with that what you will. This is terrible vibes, and never ever say anything like this ever again. Another one of theirs that makes me really mad, frustrating beyond belief, but again is very unsurprising based off of everything else we know about them, is this one. The first rule of being a wifey, always be the wifey, which bad vibes even before we read the caption. But let's have a look at what the caption says. All right. It doesn't matter how many kids call me mom. I'm still the wifey first. A few things I do to keep the spark alive. I make sure we move our bodies. I take charge of fitness in our home, myself, and the kids. When we move, I feel confident in my skin. My head is clearer, stress lifts, and being outside just brings us all joy. I get dressed and fix my hair and makeup every day. If I look good, I feel good. And when I feel good, I know I'm going to have a great day and give my husband something fun to look at. I flirt with my husband. I pinch his biscuits, run my fingers through his hair, scratch his back, and lean on his shoulder. Physical touch keeps my heart soft towards him, and it opens his heart toward me. I pray for him. I'm a busy lady. 8 kids, full-time travel, and documenting all the amazing places we see. So I set a timer on my phone to remind me to pray for my husband throughout the day. I don't skip it. Last, we share hobbies. I've learned about Bitcoin and he learned to dance. The kids will eventually grow up and need us less, but I want us to still be interested in each other and have fun together. At the end of the day, it's our marriage that holds the family together. Girl, if you have 8 kids and you say, I'm a wife first, get the fuck out. If you have any kids, it doesn't matter how many kids you have. You could have 1 kid. If you are a parent and you say that you are a wife before you are a mother, you shouldn't be a parent. I'm sorry. Like, yes, your relationship with your co-parent is important, and like you being happy together is like an important thing, like to show your children, right? Like if you want to demonstrate a healthy relationship, then that is important. But you should never be like prioritizing your husband over your children. That is not something that should be happening. Your children should always come first. You are a mother first. Always. Always. You are not a wife first. And if you think that you're a wife first, you're not a good mother. I don't care. I'm sorry. Hot take, don't care. Moving into the more nitty gritty of that. What does he do for you? What is he doing to keep the spark alive? Like what is he doing as a husband? What is he doing for you? Why are you responsible to get him moving? He can move himself. He is a grown adult. He is able to get out and do his own exercise. You shouldn't have to tell him to move. He's capable of doing that. And then like being like, I do my hair and makeup every single day, so he has something fun to look at. Does he not think you're beautiful without having your hair and makeup done? Are you live in a bus with your kids and your husband, and you see very few other people, and yet you still do your hair and makeup every single day. You complain about how much time you had to spend cleaning, and yet you spend time doing your hair and makeup every day. That makes no sense to me. Surely that is a lower priority. Why does your husband need to like look at something fun? Why aren't you beautiful enough without having to do that? Like if it makes you feel good about yourself, then fine, but you shouldn't feel like you have to do that in order to keep your husband interested. He should just be interested in you and attracted to you. You shouldn't have to do your hair and makeup. Oh my God. Oh my God. Like, yes, flirt with your husband. Yes, like take an interest in his hobbies as long as he is also taking an interest in your hobbies. Like these are all things that you should be doing. Yes, that is a good and healthy thing to have in a healthy relationship, but it has to be reciprocated. You cannot be dedicating all your time to being a wife while he does what? Nothing? He works. He makes money. He's a business owner, by the way. That's how they have all this money. He's a business owner. I don't know what businesses he owns. He owns multiple businesses. I don't know which ones. I don't know anything. I don't know what he does, but he's also traveling all the time. So he works remotely. So he's always there. I have no idea what he does. He does not participate very much, and he doesn't say very much. So I don't know. They're rich on life. they say. Yeah, they're one of those families that is like, people ask us how we afford to have so many kids and travel all the time, but like, it's not about wealth. It's about being rich on life. You don't need money to be rich. You just need family. God will do what God will do, right? Like, he will provide for you. Terrible advice. Don't be saying that to people. So many people could not afford to have this many kids, let alone travel with this many kids. It's the amount of people who are like, you can do what you want. God will provide for you. No, he won't. No, he won't. You are multimillionaires because you own a ton of businesses. Like, most people do not have the opportunities to do that. Stop acting like you're not privileged. Stop acting like this is like an easy, simple thing to do. You can do it. You can give up your life and move to a bus. Most people can't do that. Stop acting like that's a plausible thing for people to do. Please, God is not going to help you if you like quit your job and lose all of your money because you decide to live in a bus and go traveling. Like, not going to happen for most people. And telling people to go for it and to do that is just like, it's encouraging people to completely fuck their lives. Anyway, as mentioned previously, they have 7 sons and 1 daughter, and obviously, as we can take away from this video, they are also very big on gender roles. So we can all guess what it means to be the only daughter in a family like this, regardless of how much they'll deny it and say that, you know, no one is raising anyone, they're all equal, they're all like, we know that's not true, and they have multiple videos that prove it. For example, this one.
Come with me to see what it's like to have 7 brothers. We actually travel full time in a bus. On travel days, I really like to knit, and today I'm sending them off to treasure hunt. Good luck, Dad. Gonna explore Vermont! Did you know there's dragons in Vermont? And check out this magical flower room. No. Maple ice cream. But I'll never get lonely. Because we're right here! This is the part where you see a splash!
And like, I'm sorry, like, what is it like to be the only girl? Well, you see, I like knitting, so I can get some peace and quiet. I, an 11-year-old, will send my brothers and my dad off on a treasure hunt. I'll send them out. I'll hand them out their water bottles. I'll arrange the whole thing. I'll sort it out so that they can go have fun while I do my knitting. And listen, there is nothing wrong with enjoying knitting. If she is someone who genuinely like enjoys knitting and is not a big fan of going into the woods and going on treasure hunts, that's fine. If there are activities that the boys want to do that she doesn't want to participate in, that's chill, right? Like, yes, they're more gendered things. Like, that is more typically what you would expect gender role parents to do. However, sometimes we do just prefer things that align with that, and so I'm not saying that that's like forced upon her. If that's truly what she prefers, I don't care. That's fine. However, the problem isn't that they're being separated should that be what they actually want. The problem is that she is sending them out. She is the one who is like, it's implied that she organized this trip. Like, she is responsible for like giving them all water and wishing them well on their way. Like, that's her job, including her dad. Like, it's not like my dad takes my brothers out while I knit. It's not like I like knitting and I'm not a big fan of going out on these adventures, so while I knit, my dad takes my brothers out and they go do their thing while I have my thing. That would be fine. That's not what's happening though. This is a child who is responsible for the activities of her brothers and like responsible for sending them off, and like, that's not fair. That's not cool. That is absolutely putting way too much responsibility on the child's on the shoulders of this child. Like, this should not be her job. This should not be her responsibility. This should not be something that is taking place. Like, why is she responsible for this? Why is this something that she is doing? She should not be the one who is like responsible for her siblings. That's not something that should happen. And like, they say, as I said, that the oldest does not raise the younger ones, which we know that's not true, right? The older siblings are absolutely participating in the raising of the younger siblings. Like, there's no way that's not happening, no matter how much they deny it. But the daughter is obviously going to be doing the most part of that. She's not the oldest. She's one of the oldest, but she isn't the oldest, and yet she absolutely has the most responsibility when it comes to looking after her siblings. And one of the ways that that's telling is the fact that they don't have any videos that are like a day in the life of the oldest of 8 children. They only have like a day in the life of being the only girl, as though it should be any different. You know what I mean? Like, being the only daughter shouldn't really make that much of a difference, other than the fact that there is some sort of gendered idea that is being enforced, right? Like, you know what I mean? And that's further confirmed by this other TikTok. They're not TikToks, they're reels. They don't really post on TikTok. That is further confirmed by this other reel that they posted that really ticks me off.
You can't tell me what to do. You ain't my mother. Yes, I am.
It's just like not very funny, is it? It's just not great. It's not great to just imply that, you know, your daughter is responsible for what they do and like tells them what to do and tries to keep them in line, because like that should be your job as a parent. That should not be her responsibility. And like, it's such a joke, right? People say this a lot about like eldest daughters being like, oh lol, like you're not my mother, like she acts like the mother, she's doing all. It's like, it's not a choice that she's making, it's something that was like forced upon her. And like, parents can think it's a joke, they can even think it's a joke, but like it's not actually funny. Like, there's such a thing about like the girls being bossy, and they're always like telling their brothers what to do, and they're always trying to like tell their siblings what to do. Like, that's because they feel like they have to. Like, that means that she's not having fun and instead is like trying to like keep everyone else in line. And that shouldn't be the way that it goes. That shouldn't be what is happening. That's not funny. It's not fun. I don't understand like the amount of things that this family find like cute and silly and fun and like, haha, look, this happens with all daughters, even in a family that has so many sons. Like, it shouldn't though. Like, you were just putting so much responsibility on your daughter's shoulders, and you were not giving her the same freedoms. Like, if she feels like she has to control her brothers, it's because she hasn't been given the same freedom to like also goof around. Like, she's not been granted the ability to do what they do. She's instead been made to feel as though she has to like control them, and she has a responsibility over what they're up to. And that's not fair, and it's not funny. And my heart breaks for her a little bit. It's inevitable when you have a family that's this big, but it must be so hard being the only girl when you know that gender roles are so strong in this family that there's going to be a lot of pressure being put on her shoulders. And it's gonna be really difficult in the future. I am sure she's probably one of those people who, like, there's a very high likelihood she's going to be one of those people who just like never want kids, because she's had to spend so much of her life like being a parent and never having any space or quiet or anything like that. Whereas the boys, like, since their dad has very little responsibility and has quite little to do with parenting, are likely to want to have kids because they're already, again, sort of part of like this big family dynamic and already contribute a little bit to the helping of raising their kids, like their siblings. So there's like that sort of parental thing already in them, whilst also seeing that there is less responsibility if you were a father than if you are a mother, and like you can pass that over to your kids, or especially to your daughter. Like, it's an interesting sort of situation. It could go one way or the other. But there's actually a video that kind of talks about that a little bit. This video really bothered me. This is interviewing their kids.
Are you gonna have kids?
Yes.
How many are you gonna have?
I don't know, but it's gonna be a lot.
Do you want to get married?
Yeah.
Do you want to have kids?
Yeah.
How many kids do you want to have?
4,000.
What advice would you give to someone who's scared to have kids?
You should just go for it. I mean, there's nothing to lose. Yeah.
Are they a
for
lot of
sure.
work?
Yeah, sometimes.
Are you a lot of work?
No.
What do you think makes someone a good dad?
They have good rules, they're responsible, they feed you, take care of you, play with you.
If someone was scared to have kids, what would you tell them?
It's okay. Kids is a great idea. They're playful and fun.
What do you think is so great about having kids?
God says be fruitful and multiply, and that children are a blessing.
This is so weird to me. Like, using your kids to like promote having kids is so strange. I think in general we need to stop asking young children, like, do you think you're gonna get married? Do you think you're gonna have kids? Let them be kids, all right? Like, why are we asking them these questions? They're allowed to play house and like do whatever. If they say, one day I want to get married, one day I want to have kids, whatever, that's fine. But it's weird to ask your kids these questions, I think, personally, unless they bring it up themselves. And then even weirder still to be using it online to be like, my kids say you should have kids, so you know, you should, look how great kids are. And their answers are really upsetting in a lot of ways, right? The younger kids, I feel like it doesn't matter so much. They're kids. They don't really know what they're saying or talking about. Being like, yeah, I'm gonna have kids, I'm gonna have 4,000. Like, that means nothing, right? Like, kids don't really, they just say what they're thinking in that moment, and it holds very little weight a lot of the time. And they're just like, you know, repeating after their parents and whatnot. But the more concerning answers, I feel, are both from the two oldest, right? The oldest son being like, yes, I think you should have kids. Don't be scared of kids. You have nothing to lose. It's just a kind of horrible way to be viewing having children. If you have so many siblings and you are looking at parenthood as a, like, you have nothing to lose, just go for it. Don't be afraid. It's like, you've got such a warped perception of it. Going back to what I said before of like, being a part of this family unit is like all he's ever known. He is part of this like collective where he is actively involved in parenting his siblings to a degree, while also, you know, having a father who seemingly is a little bit hands-off-ish. So there's like this whole idea of like, there is nothing to lose for him because he's been a parent his entire life, so it changes nothing. And also he has the ability to pass off that responsibility, if he has multiple kids, to the other kids and like to his wife or whatever, right? Like, there's so much disconnect because of how he has been raised in such a way where like being a parent does mean nothing. It's just what you are. And that's sad. And then the other one being the daughter, right? Being like, you should have kids because God says to be fruitful and multiply. That's just a terrible reason. That's just in general a terrible reason. And the fact that, again, she is in such a large family and she is directly involved in helping to like raise her siblings, and she can't think of a single other reason. Like, it's not like it's fun to have siblings, it's fun to look after babies, it's happy to like, the others were all coming up with things like that. Like, kids are fun because they are the kids themselves. But as someone who is still very young, who is like directly involved in like helping to raise so many kids, hearing the only thing she thinks like means you should have children is because God says so, I think says so much in itself. And on the topic of just doing what God says and being Christian and faithful, I want to end on one final one. This is the second TikTok of theirs that I saw, and it just made me, again, I feel like some of these just really sum them up as people. And it's this one, which is, this is, you know you are winning at parenting when your 3-year-old wants to pick the reel. And it's the song that's, somebody's watching us, his name is Jesus, 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 his name is Jesus. That's the song. The goal to raise them in truth, not trends. I actually want to just like scratch that complete off, because you cannot say you know you're winning at parenting when your 3-year-old chooses the reel. Your 3-year-old should not have any concept of what an Instagram reel is. That should not be something they are aware of. They should not know what that is. And I think that you are not winning at parenting if your 3-year-old knows what that is enough to like contribute. You could be like, you know you're winning at parenting when this is your 3-year-old's favorite song. But you didn't even say that. It was about a reel. And even then, I think if your 3-year-old's favorite song is just like, somebody's watching us, his name is Jesus, 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 it's just because you're only playing that type of music in your house and it's got a fun beat to it. I don't think they pay attention so much to the words. They've just heard you talk about Jesus a lot and are like, oh, that's familiar and this sounds fun. He's 3. Nothing, it doesn't really mean that much to him. He's just repeating what he hears. It all ties back in around the fact that these people think they're amazing. They think they're the best parents when they are actually just very selfish and viewing things the way they want to view them in order to make themselves feel good about the decisions that they make. But they're not doing right by their kids, no matter what they want to portray and say. Anyway, this was American Family Road Trip. I spoke about them for almost an hour and a half, and I was not at all meant to do that, but I get so carried away, and they just make me so mad. There's so many people who just like hurt their kids for selfish reasons, and nothing makes me more mad than people who are just like harming their kids because it suits them. So, you know, the takeaway from this is let your kids have a life. Let your kids be their own people. Let your kids have a foundation and stability, and stop depriving them of like a good, solid, healthy life because you want to travel. You can do that before you have kids. You can do it after you have kids. You can take short trips with them when they're a bit older and able to like understand what is going on. Don't up your entire lives just because you want to see the world. I hope that you enjoyed this video. Please do not forget to hit subscribe. I am so close to 500k and I would love to hit that soon. So I really do appreciate it. And don't forget to join my Patreon at patreon.com/savvycat, because I've got a bunch of new stuff happening over there, including I recently started a Discord server, so if you're interested in chatting to me a bit over there, please do go check that out. Speaking of Patreon, a huge thank you to my Kiwi Cat patrons: Polar Bee, Sienna, Alicia, Mariel, Bree, Bay the Trucker, Chastity, Beckett, Prismatic Petey, Sushi Kawaii, Phil the Duck, Jessie, River, Queen Glimmer, Ella, Mr. Noodle, Radsack, Knitting Menace, Chris, Ellie, Alexis, and Bobby. I love and appreciate you so much. Thank you so much for joining. I hope you all enjoy the rest of your day. Stay safe. Keep fighting. I love you. Mwah. When you close your eyes.